Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 68 of Orchid Bay, our vanilla city Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, I want to head to the mountaintops of Orchid Bay to start building two different builds. We're going to do a temple and a scientific radar facility, I guess. But otherwise, how fantastic is Orchid Bay looking? Just had to take some time to fawn over the endless expanse that we have now in this city. And before we do get started with today's build, as you guys know, we have an instant gaming link down below for the community for huge discounts on all of your favourite games, the Cities Skylines, Cities 2, Sims, Football Manager, Elder Scrolls, whatever games you're into, whatever games you play. You can get Steam, Xbox and PlayStation codes all on instant gaming. Help support the channel directly, and there is a ton of insane Black Friday savings at the minute. So if you're looking to pick up something you missed out on recently, check out instant gaming. You'll get it at a huge discount and it does help support the channel. But otherwise, let's get started with Orchid Bay, shall we? So guys, welcome back to Old Haven. It's been a long time since we've been over this part of the map, hasn't it? Actually just enjoying the view from the breakwater. A couple of benches, nice place to come and sit and take in the views, isn't it? But either way, today's episode is going to be quite a unique one, I think. Some very interesting builds ahead. So first of all, let's kind of explain the thought process here. So we're on the very southern side of the map here, right on the edge of the downtown. And we're going to be taking inspiration from one of our subscriber suggestions. Actually, a big shout out to 1 Inch Wonder for suggesting the Yamadera, that kind of temple complex in Japan near Fukushima. You guys were very much on board with including kind of a mountaintop sort of temple build last episode. And I think we're going to partner this as we move into this very unique landscape of the map here. I think we're going to spend an episode out here doing almost like kind of an Everglades style build. I want to turn this into a bit of a nature reserve-y swamp, do some terraforming, lots of forest, rocks, and sort of creative terraforming with the ridges maybe, to get some sort of like wetland swamps through this way. And I think having the temple atop these mountains is going to be just a pretty cool way to respect that, right? So I think we're going to go with this mountain top up here. So it's going to take a fair bit of terraforming to get this to sit right. So first of all, let's start with that terraforming. So we're going to come in with our highest strength, and I want to shave off. So we're going to have the road come up here, aren't we? Tough one. Do we put it over here instead? I think we'll go for this one. So let's take off a little bit of it. Now, of course, as always, I will put a disclaimer in. Any major terraforming work like this in cities will look horrific until we get to a detailing point where we can just make it look a little bit more natural. But the important thing is that we give respect to the assets so that they can breathe and work properly. And I imagine we'll also do some more heavy ridge work along here as well. So we'll bring this ridge line up. There we go, something like that. And then we'll have the mountain road, I imagine, traverse this ridge, coming back down from this point over here. Cool, so let's turn our attention toward the assets. Now, I do want this to be pedestrian area, I think, rather than roads. So I think we'll start with that pedestrian area, and we'll go with, I think something darker is more appropriate, probably the cobblestone stuff. Yeah, let's do cobblestone. So we'll have this. Yeah, again, this is only going to be a small complex, and then we'll jump over and do the scientific one, I imagine, over on that peak over there. Cool, so let's search for our temple. This is going to be at the Korean temple, of course, from the Hearts of Korea content creator pack. So we'll have that there, right? So let's just see how we feel about this sort of positioning. It's going to be very cool. It's going to look down over the sort of Everglades, I guess we could call it. If we're going to do a Everglades inspired build. And then the huge metropolitan sprawl of downtown Orchid Bay. It's going to be pretty fantastic, isn't it? So we'll have that there. Don't hit that for the minute. We will also wrap this up with our pedestrian road as well. We'll worry about the pedestrian area later on. And then at the head of this, I would also like a road to come out from the middle. And we'll do this again, and then we'll search again in our unique buildings tab for a temple, because there's one Japanese temple we haven't yet used. So we can tick off 2 unique buildings with that one. And then remove that T-junction there at the frame, and that essentially just allows it to remain connected. And then we can use this as our temple complex, essentially. So I think we'll also update the trees to become silver birch in some cases, and I'm always trying to find a way to use these bamboo trees. I guess a temple inspired by Korea/Japan would be an opportunity to use bamboo. Maybe we can mix and match the trees there or something. But we can see from Google Earth that 1-inch wonders suggestions in Japan, there's little mini temples all based around the central one. So whilst we don't have that many temple assets left over, I think we can certainly repurpose things like the Japanese garden to fit into this. I think what we will do is draw off a couple more of these little T-junction places, and then we'll do Japanese garden here, which would be quite nice. I think quite thematic in with the build, isn't it? And I don't think the tropical garden would be massively out of place here either. So let's bring this one off of that one. Again, we'll do a little T-junction, and we'll do that tropical garden here. Yeah, I'm very much a fan of that, I think. And again, we'll just remove that T-junction so it's a straight connection in. But as a little mountaintop temple complex, granted, it needs a lot of terraforming work here, but it will get there, don't worry. It's not too bad for the initial concept, is it? Lots of rocks around here and terraforming in the detail and time-lapse are going to help it. But now I'd love to explore getting the road to fit in. So I reckon a dirt road is the most appropriate for this. I can't imagine they would tarmac a road like this. But it needs an awful lot of terraforming to get this to fit in. So again, we're going to go much wider than we need at first. So let's go right up here. Now imagine we're connecting off a road off of this one here. So getting up to these ridges isn't going to be a problem. A little switchback system should see to that. But what is going to be a problem is getting up to this one. So we're going to have to buy a lot of soil here. Of course, I want to keep the natural shape of the ridge. I just need more room on said ridge to get it to work. We'll keep buying soil. We'll get up there. Cool. So that's now much friendlier toward a road, isn't it? And then what we will do is we'll set a new slope height, and then we'll start coming up from this one here. There we go. And then once you've got that in, just a little bit of soften to bring in the natural shape again. Cool, so we're still maintaining the ridgeline. We've now got much more room for that road. Let's go ahead and get this in. Imagine just a little quiet kind of country dirt road that peels off of this little collector here would be quite cool. So we'll allow this to slope up here too. And it's going to be a steep road, but you know, this is a mountaintop temple. It's kind of part of the vibe, isn't it? Let's have this road snake all the way up the mountain ridge now. So that does accommodate it, which is quite nice. And then just a big soften all the way back down that road, and you just see it kind of trims up a lot of the extra terraforming we did back toward the edge of that road. And if we need to do some level terrain just to kind of reshape the mountain a little bit, then we can. Nothing horrendous, but lots of nature reserve fencing and rocks through here in the detailing time-lapse would be quite welcome, I think. But otherwise, that should give us a very precarious but important kind of mountain road, right? You see there as well where we need to maybe terraform another ridgeline out or so it looks more like this. But again, that's all a job for our detailing time-lapse. No, I don't hate that at all. So we do need pedestrian area functionality here, of course. So rather than having a service point up top, I think that'll look a little bit weird. I would like to extend a service point area from down here. So it's part of this service area here. So we'll paint this up to the top of the mountain. That will provide pedestrian area functionality, and then we'll trim that back as well. There we go. Cool. We'll have that there now. That will provide all the services that they need. And then we'll see just how many people come and use this. I imagine maybe some viewing platforms or viewing decks from Nature Reserve might go quite nicely here as well. We'll sort of see what comes to fruition during our detailing with the terraforming. Either way, that's one mountaintop facility done. I'd now like to turn our attention toward the scientific one, which I think is going to be over the ridge line and far away. As we come up to these spaces over here. So there's a nice little spot here for it, which I think will definitely accommodate something. But if we don't use that for the scientific one, there's another bridge line that comes up this way that allows us to place something here. And this is a pretty kind of middle of the city view. We've got views down to the mines over here, airports and everything over there. There's the whole downtown spaces here too. So I think in terms of a viewpoint for the scientific research facility, this one's going to be really cool. So I think for the scientific research post, or whatever we're going to call this, outside of Biffa Gardens is looking a pretty promising place here. So we've got a kind of a natural plateau at the foot of the main mountain range in Orchid Bay. So let's start piecing together some more assets here. I imagine we're probably going to be running with industrial road here, which if my city's node is on point, these are yellow lights. They are indeed. Okay. Which is okay, I think, what I'm after. So let's have our asset up here. So I imagine this one is going to be the climate research station. I'll have this one sat there, which is another unit building ticked off, thankfully. And then we will bring the asset right up against the front here. This is where I begin to miss the cities 2 alleyway. Just a little smaller road look for something like this would be perfect. Okay, but again, it's not immediately out of place there, is it? I'm pretty happy with that. It is quite nice up there. We'll have that there. Then secondary, of course, I would love the satellite dish, which is going to be from the natural disaster stuff. So we'll dive into that. Let's find it. Here we go. We want deep space radar. Now, the way the radar is pointing is going to be quite important for the build here, I think. And I think I kind of want it pointed out of the valley toward the big kind of open sky here would be the best point for it. So let's allow the road to run in that direction. We'll then grab the deep space radar itself, which of course is actually a unique building. You can only place one of these things. And quick shout out, I also really enjoyed how we used this asset in ILOS in the Area 51 build, if you haven't seen that. Cool. Let's run these frames together. And deep space radar here is not going to be horrendously out of place, as it looks really nice with the climate research centre there as well. Going to add a lot of personality into the mountains around Biffa Gardens, which, speaking of, we haven't been here for a while, have we? On the walkability now. Very nice, isn't it? Traffic's still good through this area too. And the big mall we did as well. I really enjoyed this build, the mall. A lot of fun, wasn't it? Really like this part of the city. But anyway, get distracted. Don't mind that either. So there's another little build I'd like to include as well. Again, I'd like a dirt road coming up to this facility as opposed to a tarmac road. And then we can have essentially the tarmac just be in the facility. And already within this map there's a little natural gully within the mountains here that looks perfect for another little mountain road. And we can just have that come out, not quite there I don't think. I want to maybe bring it a little further away from the tunnel than that. Maybe something like that, that's more what I'm after. And again, lots of little country road detail available up here, lots of nature reserve fence will go a long way, I think. Cool. So let's bring this up and we'll find something else to put in here. I imagine some more of the natural disaster assets are going to be quite welcome up here as well today. So I've just been scrolling through some of our unique buildings and I reckon there's a couple of the Africa ones we could squeeze into this. Also really need to find a place for the Saharan Research Institute as well. Not that we're putting this up here, but probably somewhere further down the coast I imagine we'll have this. This does look very cool in the mountains though, doesn't it? But no, it's just, it's way too big for what we're trying to achieve here. Don't try and convince yourself of that one. But what I do want to try and work in is going to be the Sanctum of Oduduwa and the other one, the Unity Pyramid over here as well. I think what I'm going to do first is to arrange the grid formation for this new set of buildings to be fractured against the old one, and then that way it's going to be centralized against the main road, which is quite nice. And then we also want to do the same thing with the Unity Pyramid. So the zoning's a little bit broken here. Let's just rearrange how this flows. And I think we'll need to do the same thing as well, won't we, to get it to fit. I think it's a general combination of assets. These can definitely fill the scientific criteria, can't they? So again, give it time. It's gonna just take a little bit of time to settle in, but I'm confident of this, okay? We're gonna almost want to line up with these roads over here. Something like that. And then we can have the Unity Pyramid in there. Delete this road, reinstate that one as the main grid, and then we can bring these down. There we go. And then, do we want to give this a little bit of airport apron? Okay, so it's not horrendous. Let's bring our road down towards the dirt road now. And then I want to use one final asset up here. That's essentially going to be the entranceway into said scientific facility. We'll have that one. Come back into my natural disaster stuff, and then I want the weather radar and we'll have that there. And again, this essentially runs as a little entrance point, and I think we can reinforce that vibe with probably some oil fencing. So I'll grab this, I'll grab the snapping, and then bring this essentially as close to the building as we can get it. Like that. So run this on an angle. And then we'll box in the whole kind of mountaintop facility using the mountains as a border. And then we can run this around in various different configurations. Perhaps a touch of Orchid Bay, build guide forest nearby here as well, to kind of give the more secretive vibes. And then we can hopefully enjoy that approach, can't we? I don't think that's too bad at all, if I don't mind saying so myself. Quite a cool little facility, and an excuse to use some of the more awkward, unique buildings, I think, isn't it? I'd also love to have one of the antenna up here as well. Maybe the tall one, it will have that there. And then if we can grab a little bit of dirt pathway here. Let's just come out from this way up to the front door. That's going to be a happy little accident for vanilla, isn't it? I think we'll do some little tufts of long grass just around this building. Maybe some Montara would be nice around here too. Some stuff like that. Cool. And then we will do some rocks as well. Fabulous. And it almost gives us another little outbuilding, doesn't it, away from actually using the antenna as it's intended. But I don't mind that there at all. But definitely, two extremely unique builds today. That are going to need a fair bit of detailing and terraforming to get them to look natural within their landscape. So let's get on with that now. It's going to be a very heavy terraforming time-lapse. We get lots of fencing, rocks, and more sort of terrain terraforming work to blend it all back in. And I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into the Everglades build as well. Turning this space into a big kind of swampy nature reserve should be a lot of fun. Either way, let's complete our two mountaintop builds today, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, let's have a little glance over what's happened around our mountaintop facilities. So around our temple site, we've now done lots of terraforming and formed some new ridge lines just to help accommodate the very heavy terrain work that we did. Not incredibly out of place, I don't think. You can definitely get away with it. Done some forest lining and nature reserve fencing up one side of the dirt track. Very precarious drive up here. Definitely. You might think you can hear the squeaking of the brakes, but it's actually the squeaking of the arses as people drive down this road. But, you know, really nice views of Orchid Bay to have, of course. Lots of tree lining and rock work and overgrowth around here. Also did a little bit of an indent here as well, just to kind of accentuate different layers between the assets. And kind of having this central temple with lots of little pedestrian pathways peeling off of it was definitely a really nice way, I think, to factor in some other themed assets around the temple build. I really enjoyed how this came together. I think it's quite easy to kind of come into these more quirky builds like mountaintop temples and research facilities and really overdo them. I think sometimes simpler the better is often the best way to go in these kind of cases. We have our big Japanese temple right on the tip of the mountain, with a couple of viewing decks as well, so really cool platforms for people to come and sit. And possibly now this bench, if it wasn't for the roadie in the way, is now the best view in all of Orchid Bay. I think this probably tops the Mad Mountain view just for height. So I really love how all of this here came together. Super cool, just view from here, and it's going to look great at night time as well, I'm sure. So either way, that fits in really nicely now. You can see it from pretty much down in the downtown, just those a little temple all the way up there. It looks really distant, doesn't it? Like it's got a good old way to get up there. Really cool. Really like how that sits into the landscape. And then the same is true of the mountaintop research facility over here as well. I just sat in Biffa Gardens. You can just see those little towers and spires and antenna of the scientific research facility and the big fence line that surrounds it from up here. So we'll leave Biffa Gardens up the mountain road that indeed links through into Haven. But before you do go through the Haven tunnel, you actually come up the road here, up through some mountain forest, a little pathway here linking out to a fire watch tower, which again I'm using as almost kind of security purposes, but is actually serving kind of, you know, fire purpose out here for the city as well, which is nice. I think look at that view. Absolutely love it. Can we see if we can get our camera position right on the sort of edge of the fire watch tower there? Imagine the security guard that sits in here just gets to look out over that view every day. It's very finicky, but there you go. There's actually a bench on that asset, isn't there? You see a little corner of a bench there. I've never noticed that before. But what a wonderful bench to sit out on, right? Really cool. And then this fence lining surrounds the whole area now. We've got our weather radar in as a bit of an entrance, but again, it's very thematic with the rest of the build, isn't it? Antenna up here. Zoned in a couple of 1x2 office spaces just to get these small cute assets in. They're just basic vanilla offices, but they do a really nice job as just a kind of outer admin building. I've just noticed that this tree trunk shouldn't be there, so we'll delete that. And then just put out some basically lunch space for workers that might be up here, just some outdoor space where they can sit and enjoy and take time to think over the studies that they're conducting over here. The combination of these two assets here is pretty unique, but they're kind of two almost space age looking assets, aren't they? So I guess they go really quite nicely in here. And having the kind of concrete surrounds on them with the shapes of the roads is quite unique and vanilla. So I'm happy to keep these in. Probably quite divisive part of the build, I think, but fun way to use two pretty quirky assets. And then we've got lots of pathways and rocks, of course, and leading up to our antenna building out here as well, before that mountain forest kicks in, with the fence lining all the way around. And then we'll come across to the Climate Research Centre, which just sits in the box frame, and then we have another pathway up to another fire watch tower, when the mountain forest does extend along the ridge. And then you just have this little cute mountaintop research facility that now sits within the main mountain range of Orchid Bay and serves as a bit of a kind of viewpoint and tourist attraction, doesn't it, for people living in Biffa Gardens down here. Adds a bit more personality into the view from this part of the city. And of course, it also just gives us a fantastic view across the entirety of Orchid Bay, of course. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. Pretty short episode and two pretty short builds, but I hope you have enjoyed them nonetheless. If you have, those likes, comments and shares below really do help grow the channel. And don't forget, if you have made it this far into the video and you are enjoying our City Skylines 1 and 2 videos, Please do consider subscribing. We're on a big push for 100,000 subscribers on the channel, which is just insane. Every time I have to say that and push for a subscription, it's 100,000. Like, holy shit. What the hell? Just crazy. Thank you for all the support. Massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel, with a roll call to Felix Wilkinson. Really appreciate all the support you guys drop to help us make these Cities 1 videos possible. Thank you so much for all that support. Really appreciate you guys. Please do enjoy those cinematics, but otherwise I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.